How's it going, folks? It's Thursday night. It's 8 p.m. It's your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast, and we have another week in wrestling to talk about. We got NXT Bridgeport. Some folks call it NXT Deadline. Here, we call it NXT Bridgeport. We're going to get into that tonight because that's going down this weekend. There is a devil running amok in AEW. Who is behind the mask, and is there anyone that can be behind that mask that would actually heat things up and make things exciting? We're going to talk about that, plus changes afoot in WWE. The business has new ownership, and they got plans, and the old rules do not apply anymore. We're going to talk about that and so much here tonight, folks. Stay with us. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast starts right now.
Big gold belt, big gold belt, big gold belt, big gold belt. All I really want is that big gold belt, big gold belt, big gold belt, big gold belt. All I really need that big gold belt, big gold belt, big gold belt. All I really want is that big gold belt, big gold belt, big gold belt.
How's it going, folks? Thursday nights, 8 p.m., your Big Gold Belt Wrestling podcast is live and on the air. It's Will here with Jamal, the Giant Crab, the two of us holding things down tonight. Don't know if we'll get any run-ins from the rest of the crew. Maybe, maybe not. It's the holidays. It's a busy time of year. But how's it going, Giant Crab?
It's going good. It's a good time. AEW has just released their Canadian tour for next year, which looks pretty interesting. Tyler Breeze, welcome to the world, his new baby boy. So that's a good time. So
news to me there.
Yeah, so it's a good on him. And a lot of interesting things to get into tonight. Also, the video game awards are happening right now, so that's something I'm going to have to catch up on a little bit later. And one last quick thing: if you're going to the TJPW show in Los Angeles, you need to be at the Vermont, not the Globe. They had to change venues. The Globe is going through a thing, but it's next Thursday at the Vermont in Hollywood. So, but we got, it's going to be a pretty busy show, as I count down to vacation. Damn it.
Right. We're both doing that. The holidays are fast approaching,
right.
And we will definitely, both of us will not be here in the coming weeks. So we're getting our time in now, and other folks are going to have to figure out if they're going to cover while we're not here, because we will both be elsewhere for sure coming up
Definitely.
soon. Anyways, folks, we got some stuff to get into tonight. First of all, let's get into shows going on this weekend. This weekend is NXT Deadline, or as we like to call it here, NXT Bridgeport, as they return to Bridgeport, Connecticut for an NXT show, a venue that they have had history with
It's
the
about
NXT
time.
brand. Yeah, that was back in the black and gold era. Way back when they did NXT Bridgeport for the first time. So it is happening again. We got a show this weekend with the theme of Deadline, which is when they do their Iron Survivor gimmick that they started last year, which is a bit of a complicated gimmick match, a bit more involved than your standard gimmick match. We can talk about that in a bit, but we got a 7-match card with 6 matches on the main card. We'll run this down real quick here, what they got going on. Pre-show match is going to be Axiom versus Nathan Frazier. So they're trying to do the young guys with the fast-moving action, going to open the show on the pre-show. But then running down the main card, Carmelo Hayes and Lexus King, the former Brian Pillman Jr., going to have a bit of their feud going on there. Roxanne Perez and Kiana James in a steel cage match, which is very interesting to me, as both of them have they're both girls that I have thought have been on the bubble to come up at any darn moment. So heading towards Rumble season, timing seems kind of good, but big gimmick match there to blow off Roxana Perez and Kiana James. Dominic Mysterio defends the North American Championship against Dragon Lee. Almost a SmackDown versus Raw match. Dragon Lee's a regular on SmackDown, and Dirty Dom is always on Raw. We also have Ilya Dragunov defending the NXT Championship against Baron Corbin. And then our 2 Iron Survivors matches, a men's one and a women's one. So the men's one, we have Dijak, Trick Williams, Josh Briggs, Braun Breaker, and Tyler Bate. Quite a mix of guys there in that lineup. On the women's one, we have Tiffany Stratton, Lash Legend, Blair Davenport, Kelani Jordan, and Fallon Henley on the women's side there for 2 Iron Survivors matches that are both to determine number 1 contenders for the NXT men's title and NXT women's title. So a tight card. I think some of those matches could be pretty darn quick. I got a feeling Lexis King and Carmelo Hayes might be pretty fast. And Dom and Dragon Lee interests me, kind of how they'll handle that one. But yeah, end of the year for NXT, heading into 2024. And I think this card, for me, the most interesting thing is going to be kind of how they orient themselves heading into the new year. What's the direction they're going to take? How much are they going to tip their hand here on who's going to get the brunt of the push going into 2024? Who's going to be their focus in the new year? Because we're finishing out 2023, and some of these folks, I can't see them sticking around NXT. Some people got to be moving up, and some people got to become the new regular faces. And I think that's what's kind of going to happen here. I think this will be a pivotal show as far as that goes. Oh. Thoughts, Jamal, on this card?
Well, the first thought is, because I just don't watch NXT.
Right.
What is the Iron Survivor Challenge?
Yes, I got to refresh myself on this too, because they only did it last year. So I pulled that up before we went on air, because like I said, the Iron Survivor gimmick is involved. I remember last year we talked about it. We talked about all the graphics that would have to be on screen to keep track of this. So it's a 5-person match. Way it works is 2 people start, and then every 5 minutes thereafter, another person enters. So you got someone entering at 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes to get all five people in. It's a 25-minute match. So everyone's in at the 15-minute mark by that point. You can win by pin, submission, or do we also do DQs here? Let me check on this. Pins, submissions, or DQs all count. You want the most finishes within the 25-minute period. Here's the trick, though. When someone gets pinned, they earn a point. Whoever eats the pin or whoever takes the loss, they have to go into a penalty box for 90 seconds. 90 seconds are up, then they can re-enter the match. So there's scoring involved, there's timed entries, and there's also a penalty box. I remember last year first hearing this and being like, there's a lot to keep track of in this match. A lot of different factors, because there's an overall clock and then a clock, multiple clocks within the match, depending what's going on at any darn moment. That's how the Iron Survivor works.
Yeah, this sounds like a really complicated video game mode.
Yeah.
For a wrestling game, but it may sound complicated to explain, but it's basically if a gauntlet match and an Iron Man match had an affair, in hedonism, and that's it kind of feels like it wants to be, doesn't know what it want to be. Okay, cool. I am actually a little bit more interested than I was before, because of the fact that there's a lot of moving parts, but not enough where it overcomplicates things. It still feels like a sports event. It's not like, it meshes hockey with baseball or anything, crazy like that. It's just like, no. If you lose, then, and there's also some gamesmanship too, because if you eat the pin, then you go into the box. Does that count for a DQ? Is it countouts or
no count? It says pinfall, submission, or DQ is what I'm reading here. I don't think there's countouts because there's too many people involved to make it countouts. I think because eventually you're going to have all 5 in there at the same time from the last 10 minutes. So I don't remember there being any countouts. It's pinfall, submission, or DQ. I'm trying. The last year was the first time they did this, so they've done it twice before. The big thing I remember is it didn't seem to be that complicated once it was actually happening, because there's only so much happening at a given moment. After they get the first little bit where it's like, okay, someone's coming in 5 minutes, someone's coming in 5 minutes, and then the last person is coming at 15-minute mark. So you're like, okay, that's out of the way. Once you're 15 minutes in, there's no more entries, and then at that point, it really just becomes the penalty box and who has how many points on the scoreboard is really all you're looking at. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways they can do it, because you could do the idea of like someone's in early and they rack up a bunch of points, and the other people got to play pickup. They got to catch up to them. Whoever comes in last is at a disadvantage, really, is because it's that dynamic of, okay, one, they would be fresher because they're coming in last, but they haven't been in the match up to that point to get any points for themselves. So you have that working against them. It's kind of a double-edged sword there. There's advantages and disadvantages to coming in last. And it's not the automatic Royal Rumble deal where it's like coming in last is like, oh, you're coming in at the end, everyone's tired. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, but the way the Royal Rumble's been consistently booked, it's just like, well, who's going to be 25 through 30? Mm-hmm. Also, who's going to be 1 through 5? Because there's no way anybody between 10 and 20 is winning. So you watch the beginning, you watch the end, and then there's your Rumble. And then of course, you have these, with the Royal Rumble, you have like these moral victories. Oh, well, he lasted an hour, or he lasted, he eliminated the most people since whatever year. Or the Kofi spot, or whatever. With this Iron Survivor Challenge, it definitely doesn't seem to like have any of those things. Because if a person gets out to like a crazy 5-0 lead or something like that, which means that the person that they beat 5 times is down 5 points, which essentially eliminates them, because they would have to get that much more to break even and then go and try to win. It would be the greatest comeback in wrestling history if that were the case. So it's interesting. I mean, points make things interesting. That's why people watch sports. So
there's ways they can play with this. There's definitely ways to play with it. Stories they could tell with the point system and the penalties.
And what's the deal with the time?
Yeah, I do like the idea that it's 25 minutes and it's not overly long. It's a very condensed amount of time. There's only 5 people in it. So it's not like there's a ton of people to keep track of. Like, it's kind of a very focused, like shorter version of the Royal Rumble, but a multi-person match that also has like,
it's almost like a single person Survivor Series match.
Yeah, kind of like that.
And one thing I like about that 25-minute time limit is that, so you have the pre-show match, which doesn't count. So there's 6 matches of the main card, which means that these Iron Survivor challenges could be done in an hour. And then you have 4 more matches in 2 hours. So you have, I mean, obviously they're just not going to do the 2 Iron Survivor challenges to start the show. But the point is that everybody can get time.
That's true.
You're thinking like, well, Carmelo Hayes versus Lexix King might not go that long. Well, if they go 15, that's plenty of time. That's plenty of time.
Yeah.
Arguably too much time.
I would say 10 to 12 for them is probably
exactly. So everybody has a chance to get their to put on a good show and not feel like it's rushed. We know that this because the Royal Rumble, we don't know how long it's going to go on.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to go on an hour. Well, this thing, it's 25 minutes, which means that Dragunov versus Baron Corbin could have a decent amount of time, and then you have the North American Championship match, which could get a decent amount of time. So. You know what? It's just another well put together show by NXT.
Yeah, it's a very balanced card. Looking at it again, there's nothing I would say on here is like, oh god, skip that one. It's like every match. I mean, this has really been the hallmark of the Triple H era. Has been every match has a purpose. There's nothing that's filler. Everything has a story behind it. Everything has either a title involved or it's been featured on the program. There's something. Yeah, there's nothing on this card that's like, oh, that's just on there to get someone on the show. They got story behind everything or title implications or something.
They're not having a pre-show battle royal.
Yeah,
just so somebody can collect a pay-per-view check.
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting show, and how it flows then into the new year. I think that's. Can be the big question. I really like what they've been doing with Baron Corbin down here, because it's almost like they've taken Baron Corbin and he's not the lone wolf that he was before back in the day of the Black and Gold NXT, but it's Baron Corbin who's been to the main roster and come back, but he doesn't have any of the main roster BS on him here. He's like, just, I got my shit together. I've been to the big dance. I know what I'm doing. I'm kind of, almost like he's big time and everybody there. but not in a cartoonish way. I don't know. It's been a very interesting presentation to him that, like, if he does head back up to the main roster after this, I'd like to see him tweaked more to this presentation where it's like they're playing up, it's almost they play up more like how he is on social media, where it's like, he's the guy with the money, has the big house, and he likes to grill, and he has all his fancy steaks that he makes and all this. And I don't know, it's a more relatable Baron Corbin in NXT.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's just a simple gimmick, but it feels more real than anything he's ever done.
It's grounded in reality. I think that's the big key. It's not there's nothing absurd about it or anything like that. So we're not getting all the cartoony aspects that sometimes WWE will.
Yeah, he's not Happy Corbin, thank God.
Exactly. There's nothing going on where he lost all his money gambling and all this. And
which is it's not even like, well, he's pathetic Corbin. Like, Jesus Christ, why is this not entertaining?
Right. Oh my God. Yeah. No, this should be a good show. It should be a good show on
When
Saturday.
does NXT move to the CW?
Next October. All the changes happen next October. The TV deals are up then. So that's when we'll get SmackDown on USA, NXT on the CW, and Raw, as of this moment, is still up in the air. No word on Raw yet, where Raw is ending up. But so as we'll talk later when we talk some business stuff in the second half, they're apparently talking to lots of people, and there's lots of interest. It's just a matter of when they're going to come to a conclusion on that and what that conclusion will be. So, yeah, we'll talk about that when we get into the business stuff later on in the show. I don't know. Anything else jumping out on this NXT show?
No, I mean, it's actually just a very simple, little show. Pretty well put together. It's not overbooked, which we see a lot of. And it's just a nice smooth 3 hours, which is what it should be. I mean, we don't need to do too much. Get in and get out and go home.
Yeah, hopefully I hope they nail that again, because Survivor Series, we talked about last week, lost in the shuffle for Survivor Series. That show ended in under 3 hours. It was like 2 hours and 50 minutes, like back in the old days when the cable box would be like about to cut off once it hit that 3 hour mark.
Right.
They got that show done in like 2:50, and I was over the damn moon. And if that's going to be a trend going forward, where these shows are going to be tight and just like flow like that, I can get behind that 1,000%. So NXT, you get this show done by 11 o'clock Eastern next week on Saturday night, I'll be a happy man.
And let's just say this for context. It's not that, like, more wrestling doesn't always mean good wrestling. And a shorter show doesn't necessarily mean that, you don't have much more to offer. It's quality over quantity.
Yes.
So that's really what I'm looking for. And as a person that's been in the arena at AEW shows until 2 a.m, covering the show and then the post-show scrum, it's time to go home. Let's go home. So.
Yes, absolutely. And that's not a WWE thing. That's not an AEW thing. That's just across the board.
That's just a time thing. And because you've been to indie shows where you went, like, they haven't had their intermission yet, and it's been 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. When do the lights cut off at the volunteer firehouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep the show moving, respect people's time, wrap it up, and get it going.
Absolutely.
Regardless of what the company is, please do that. That's my thoughts on that. All right, we are flying here. Hell, let's switch gears to AEW. Yeah. Let's switch gears to AEW because they got a man in a mask. It's got for at least 2 months, maybe. It's been going on a while now. It feels
a good long while, yeah.
Yeah, it's been more than a month. But this whole devil figure that's wreaking havoc with MJF, and he's got minions and flashing lights and all this stuff. It's been going on a while, and it ain't been paid off yet. But I mean, clearly this is all building to who is behind the mask, who is the devil in AEW. And the rumblings and the feeling I'm getting from a lot of folks at this point now is folks, I think it's gone on too long. To the point that people are like, all right, let's get to it. We've been stretching this out. Let's get to it. And then I think a fear is setting in that since it has been stretched out so long, how can this be paid off in a way that isn't a disappointment? That isn't like just, a dud of some sort.
When they do the big reveal, who is the guy under the mask who is the person under the mask that you would be excited for, that would make this payoff be a win for you and AEW? Yeah, I have a couple of ideas.
Yeah, for a company that, let's be honest, they need a win right now. They need they need something that's going to spark some interest, that's going to like get folks' attention and not just be another, really? You know? Yeah. So
and that's the thing. We've seen it before. We've seen a couple of these like big reveals. You need to be very excited about this, and it was a dud. Swerve with Parker Boudreaux and the other guy. Like,
oh yeah, I forgot about that. That was a while back.
Right.
Yeah.
The lights out, and then the reveal of Satnam Singh. The tease that somebody big was coming to AEW, and it was Brock Anderson.
Oh no, Brock Anderson.
Or and to be fair, it seems like so long ago because he's had a hell of a run, but the big Hall of Fame get for the pay-per-view. Can't wait to see who it is. The big countdown, and it's Christian.
Right. Which has paid off.
Which has paid off.
That night, it was just like, you know, as we've said for a long time, Tony has a habit of overpromising and underdelivering. Right. You know, he hypes. Hey, a promoter's going to hype. That is what it is. A promoter is going to hype, but we're in a situation right now where I think expectations need to be, you know, let's keep people's expectations realistic. And if you can over deliver here, great. But what that looks like, I'm not sure. I mean, for a lot of damn people, it seems like, okay, oh, it's got to be Adam Cole. It's got to be Adam Cole. It's got to be that. It's like too obvious in my mind, and just be that to me. It'd just be another, you know. Yeah. It's expected. It just that would just, I think their base audience would be fine with it, but that ain't gonna spark anything outside of, you know, what they're already doing.
Right.
If it's Adam Cole, and with him being hurt, I have a feeling if it was gonna be Adam Cole, it would have already happened by now, injury or not. They probably would have pulled the trigger on that already.
So then who would be that person then? Who would be that person that makes you go, oh shit, they did it. Good on you, Tony Khan.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Now, there's a whole group of people that are going to be free and clear in about 2 weeks.
December 20th.
Yes, the date is coming up.
Yep.
Do you think they're holding, the reason it's been stretched out this long is because they're waiting from someone from that list?
So let me just give you my guesses. Who I wish it would be is Mustafa Ali.
Okay.
I think it makes sense. I think that Mustafa Ali, especially as he's been campaigning to leave WWE for a year, and then he finally gets released and has to wait, he's definitely built himself up as the working man, whatever. Okay. Had the promo that never happened as the politician, you know, a chicken in every coop and all this other stuff, because he's a working man. Mustafa Ali is for the people. Whereas MJF has his entire gimmick, whether it's real or not, is that he's better than you. That he literally tells you that he's better than you. He comes out in Bearberry. He comes out, you know, as this pompous, rich dickhead, and he's from, you know, an upper middle class spot in the country, and all of these other things. And Mustafa Ali is not. He's a family man from Chicago, you know, immigrant, bust his ass, blah, blah, blah. Show when WWE didn't have anything for him, bust his ass, and you started uploading those Twitter things of his training. I would love for that to be the thing. The elephant in the room, of course, is that Mustafa Ali makes no bones about the fact that he's a Muslim. Mm-hmm. Max Friedman, big-time Jew. Obviously, the political climate and the news may not want Mustafa Ali to come in as the devil to come in and challenge MJF.
Didn't think of it that way.
I think that
timing is definitely right. Ooh,
if you're looking at it that way, then you already have. You could say that about everybody. If you're looking at it that way, then you're going to hate it regardless. But I think for the reasons before I mentioned this political caveat, scrapping Mustafa Ali versus who has all the talent in the world. That's not the issue. It's just the opportunity. The opportunities that Friedman has, been given. We know what happened at the bullshit at was it not All Out in Vegas, Double or Nothing,
right?
Like we see what it is, and I think that would be great. That's my wish. I wish it's Mustafa Ali. I think he can come through and really shake things up. I would like to see it be Britt Baker. She doesn't have anything to do in the women's division. She's already been champ. She's already carried the division once or twice. Had arguably the most talked about match in AEW women's history with the match with Thunder Rosa at this St. Patrick's Day show. Sold all the bloody T-shirts and all that good stuff. People still chant, DMD when they do the gimmick in the entrance. Why would she be a person that's not a fan of Friedman? Well, because Adam Cole is her boyfriend. That's legit. Maybe she's pulling the strings to get Roderick Strong's in place. Maybe she's pulling the strings to get all these things because women scorned and all that. She doesn't obviously have to wrestle MJF because she has her minions. But I do think that for the bitch that people think that Britt Baker is, this would be a grand opportunity for her to prove it in a logistical way that she's had things taken from her. She's not with Hayter anymore. Hayter's injured. That's, we've forgotten about that thing. We don't know when Hayter's coming back. People love to hate Britt Baker anyway. And the fact that MJF is arguably the most over he's ever been, the first time he's really been a face on television. And here comes this witch, this Jezebel, as some people call her, to come in and burn the whole goddamn house down.
That's an interesting idea.
I would like to see that happen. Who it's probably going to be is Wardlow.
Oh. Okay, here's the idea of Britt Baker. Here's the twist I think it would be interesting on that is it would have to, I think the key would be they'd have to very heavily lean into the idea that Adam Cole does not want to turn on MJF and that they are genuinely friends. And it's her in his ear being, what are you doing? Screw him. He's the champion. You need to win that belt for us. You need to win that belt. You need to win that belt for me. Otherwise, I'm out of here.
As a mouthpiece.
Yeah, essentially the idea that if you don't do this, I'm leaving you. I don't have time for this. You're wasting my time or something like that. Have such a player, not quite as much as a gold digger, but you need to put me. I am the priority.
She's not. She wouldn't be a gold digger because she's achieved everything that she wants Adam Cole to reach.
Right.
She's been there already.
You play it up like this. You play it up as her being like, I'm the priority, not your friend. Like that. Essentially something that you need to choose between us, and you better pick me.
Right.
Right.
So that makes Adam Cole a little bit more interesting because now he has a choice to make. That makes Friedman a little bit more interesting. That makes Britt Baker the biggest heel in the company.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that'd be the thing. It take a full commitment to Baker because she has to be the bad person in the situation. It has to be her being conniving, her being manipulative, play into the idea of her playing politics in the back, and be like, I'm doing this to get you this title shot, and
that's why I brought you here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you can have him be reluctant, and not want to do it, and all that. But she's the one turning the screws,
right?
She's the one.
I don't know how long that lasts after the initial reveal. How long you can still run with that story. Because that's not a story that's going to have legs for too much longer. Because Britt Baker's not going to fight. Do it, Friedman.
It works in the moment, and you'll get a couple weeks out of it. But then eventually, then it has to become Adam Cole completely sides with her, and then him and MJF are feuding,
or at least on screen. Because again, she six her minions on him. They team, whatever. You get a couple matches out of it, but eventually, it's just going to have to be Cole versus Friedman. For the title for whatever reason, either as enemies because he sides with Britt Baker, or as friends because you know what, damn it, you're my friend and you deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever happens, but that just needs to end. And this is the problem that Tony Khan has. He doesn't want shit to end.
Right.
Stuff
always has to keep going in one form or another.
Right. So I think
called back later something.
The pay-per-view is the 30th for AEW. Sting's last match is in February at Revolution in North Carolina. If they can, so that's 8 weeks. We'll give you 8 more weeks to figure it, 2 months to figure it out. That'll put you into mid-February from now. That'll put you into mid-February. Blow it off at Revolution. Cool. Like that's solid. That can end, and whatever that is, it is. We move on. Just please, Jesus, don't let it be Wardlow because
he now ain't the time. He's lost so much steam. Now ain't the time to pull that on.
Yeah, because if it's not Wardlow, then it's like Jungle Boy, and that's just a no.
Oh no,
yeah,
no. It's coming off everything that happened. It's just too on the no. It doesn't work. My problem is thinking I could see Tony thinking that, well, the people who follow everything on, they'd be all about it. And it's like, no, it's too corny and it's too unbelievable.
Right.
It's just
because Jungle Boy went heel, and then he went heel doing a worse version of Christian's gimmick.
Yeah. He didn't find his own identity as a heel.
Exactly. So until he figures that out, and who knows if he's suspended or if he's just waiting to come back or whatever that looks like. But I don't see Jungle Boy as the leader of a stable, doing this whole thing with MJF. And then, of course, there's the Y, and no, that just doesn't work for me.
Yeah. You did mention Mustafa Ali. I like the Mustafa Ali would get my attention. It would be a matter of just how once the wheels are in motion, once we see it's him, just does it work? And I don't know. I like the idea of it on paper. Lord knows I'll take it over a Dolph Ziggler any day of the damn week. As far as other guys that were in that release group,
I forgot about that.
But I hope to God I'll take Mustafa over him any damn second. It's just I don't know how that would work in the long run. I think is my concern with Mustafa Ali. If there'd be enough legs there for it to
and
be
that's,
more in it. More
that's kind of also a thing too, because if they visit this, what do they do down the road? Because we've seen Ricky Starks and MJF in the same space. Starks got the better of him on the mic. We know what they can do both in the ring. We haven't visited that space since. So it is kind of like, are they trying to test the waters and hold things back a little bit? Nope, I don't think they are. They're just really riding this MJF wave as long as they possibly can. So I don't know. I guess the next question is just when do we get to meet the devil?
I think by the end of the year. It feels like the especially if they're waiting on someone from that group, they got 2 weeks and then they can do it. So
yeah,
I think they gotta do it by the end of the calendar year. It's gone on longer and it feels like it should already.
Well, MJF has the match with Samoa Joe at the pay-per-view in Long Island.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be a good time to have Joe win the belt and then have Friedman lose in his hometown to the devil, which sets up their feud later on.
Oh, make it a separate thing from the title. Have it
because Joe is going to branch off to whatever his title run looks like, transitional title. And then you have somebody else, the devil versus MJF through the winter and into the spring.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a good way to, because Freeman will still be hot, so he doesn't need the belt anymore. He doesn't need the belt right now.
He doesn't need the belt at all. No.
Right. So once you have that and separate him from the belt, then somebody else that could use it, whether it's somebody that they elevate or whether it's somebody that is just next in line, can go ahead and do a thing and come through. And, that could be whatever that program is. And Friedman's on his way with his own program, and then we move on. So, it's so simple it hurts, but for some reason, I think it's just going to be like the big reveal, super huge, important announcement, and it's EC3.
Oh, folks, I think we will find out sooner rather than later. Maybe it will be at a World's End. We'll see there, but I think by the end of the year is my guess. It feels like it's coming. All right, let's have our mid-show break. We come back, we got the indie spotlight, and then we got to talk about WWE business because changes are coming. There's new folks with the keys, and the old rules do not apply anymore. So stay with us, folks. Your Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. We'll be back right after this.
Are you a fan of all things media? Are you a fan of professional wrestling and sports? Then you need to check out Big Gold Belt Media. We're the ultimate destination for all things entertainment and media, with the latest news, interviews, and analysis from the world of the aforementioned entertainment realm. Our team of dedicated journalists and analysts will bring you exclusive content that you're not going to find anywhere else. And we're not just an online destination. We attend live events, conventions, bringing you behind-the-scenes access and exclusive content that you're not going to find anywhere else. Plus, you can show your support for our brand by subscribing to our Patreon, patreon.com/BigGoldBelt. Join the Big Gold Belt Media community today and stay ahead of the game. Follow us on all our social media platforms at Big Gold Belt for the latest updates and exclusive content. Whether you're a diehard wrestling, sports, nerd culture fan, or just a casual like some people, Big Gold Belt Media has everything you're going to need to stay informed and entertained. So what are you waiting for? Check us out today at BigGoldBelt.com. That's BigGoldBelt.com.
Welcome back, folks. Glad you're here with us tonight on the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast. When we come back from halftime, we like to check out what's going on with the indies. So here is Jabal with the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast Indie Spotlight.
Yep. And tonight, for the Indie Spotlight this week, we're going out to Los Angeles. It's December 30th. It is Circle 6 King of the Deathmatch Tournament. One of the big matches that I'm looking forward to. First time ever. It's Matthew Justice versus Homicide. That's going to be interesting. Justice is the C6 World title holder. He's going against Homicide. First time ever at the Don Quixote in Los Angeles. That's from Circle 6 Wrestling out there on the West Coast. You can get your tickets at circle6.shop. Circle, the number 6.shop. You can click on King of the Death Matches, and that will take you to where you can buy your tickets. General admission, of all the way down to row 2. First row is sold out. So, get them while you can, because this thing, tickets are a moving. But yeah, circle6.shop. So that's happening December 30th. It's the King of the Deathmatch Tournament. All the tournament matches, including, and then there's Matthew Justice versus Homicide, first time ever. Going to be a big night of fights at the Don Quixote in Los Angeles, just east of downtown for Circle 6. And King of the Deathmatch Tournament out there on December 30th. Then that's the Indie Spotlight for this week.
There you go, folks. Coming up the end of the year, lots of big wrestling happening as we close out 2023. So we're going to switch to the business side of things now, because WWE, it's things are changing, and how they've been changing for the past couple months. Folks get those keys to the castle. They ain't wasting no time. They're going to start instituting things and kicking the tires and looking at what's under the carpet and stuff and figuring out what could be done here. So the new ownership, TKO, they're definitely interested in, I would say, maximizing everything they can as far as ways to make money with this deal between them and the UFC. And from the beginning, they said, like, a big part of what they were going to do is, like, they brought all these sponsorships to UFC and all these revenue streams to UFC, and there's things they want to, that WWE isn't doing that they're going to take from that and add to the WWE picture. So do we want to start talking with the house show talk, or
Yeah, let's do that.
Different aspect of it. Okay, so interesting quote this week from Mark Shapiro, who let's see, is he the COO there? I think is that his title officially. Yes, TKO yes. COO Mark Shapiro had an interview this week and had this this quote regarding the house shows that WWE does and their aim to improve profit margins and overall operational efficiencies within the company. So, quote, "While there's a reason to have them because it's good for the brand, we're building an audience. We're putting them on in C and D counties. So we're really stretching the brand, and we're amassing a greater array of eyeballs from all demos. So it's good for our long-term growth. Through a margin perspective, though, they are dilutive. So there's probably an opportunity as we go through our efficiencies and our synergy opportunities to cut back on some of these non-televised events, which will push our margin up so that we are going through that exercise now. So in short, a lot of corporate speak there, a lot of big words and all this, corporate jargon, but they're looking at the house shows and trying to figure out, should we keep doing these? Do these make business sense? Is there truly money to be made here? And it seems that also you made that comment about putting them on in C and D counties. They're really looking at the smaller market house shows in your, your non-major cities, your off the beaten path ones, your C-level towns. So you see WWE doing a house show on a Sunday afternoon, your matinee show, it's out like some beach town,
I mean, like, just think your Class A city or market, rather, your Class A market would probably have 3 or 4 of the major sports in America. Your Class B market may have 2 out of the 4. Your Class C market may be a town of under 250,000, somewhere between 100 and 250,000 with, 100 miles from anybody else. And then your Class D towns would be everybody else.
Right.
So, that is what it is. And that's what WWE runs in general. But so let me ask you this about just directly about the house shows in general.
Yes.
Do we need house shows anymore? Full stop, across the board, WWE, AEW, Impact, wherever. Are house shows relevant in 2024?
I think they are. I look at it like this. I think there's absolutely a place for house shows. And what it is you have your big pay-per-views, you have your televised, TV tapings every darn week. The house shows are a completely different creature. Now, whether they make business sense or not, that's, the economics of them, that's a whole different factor. But that's leaving that aside right now. I look at the house shows as these are your smaller events with a smaller ticket price that it's easier for a family to go for a night out, to bring the whole family down, to bring the wife and the kids and all this, and have buy 4 or 5 tickets to, and get a night out and have a smaller intimate deal with the wrestlers and all this. As it's widely known from the house shows, it's a much more fun environment because they're not beholden to what's going on TV. They're not working to cameras. They're working to the crowd in the building. So it's a completely different, presentation as compared to a TV taping or a pay-per-view where the cameras are the focus and the audience is almost secondary to the TV presentation that's going on a lot of those shows.
Right.
And of course, the other big factor with house shows is it's a learning environment for a lot of these younger wrestlers, for the folks to be able to try out ideas and be, okay, we're going to have this match on pay-per-view in a month. Hey, while we're out on the road on the weekends, we can try this stuff and we can test market stuff in front of these crowds and get firsthand feedback about whether, hey, did they react to this? Did they react to this or not? Did this work? Did this not work? So by the time they get to the pay-per-view in a month, you have the act tuned. You've worked out all the kinks and had time to do that. Yeah, you can run a match back and forth in the Performance Center all week. That's not the same as doing it in front of an actual audience that doesn't know what's coming, that doesn't see, that hasn't know what's going on there. So I think there's absolutely a role for them. And it's just a matter of, the economics behind it, if it works or not. And yeah, now the issue he brings up about, doing them in smaller markets or not. Are smaller markets going to lose out on them? There's probably a chance that's going to happen, that they won't be so much in smaller markets, that they'll be in more, they'll stick to the A and B towns, your major cities and, your secondary markets and stuff. And that the out of the way towns might not get them as much unless it's they have an open date in between, their travels or something that they need to fill. But I don't think house shows should go away in 2024. I think there's, they create brand awareness. They create, it's a very much more accessible experience for a lot of fans especially when they're young, to get that. For a lot of people, their first experience of going to wrestling live is a house show, just because it's, a lower barrier of entry to go to one. That's my thought.
So WWE has spent the last 75 years building their brand, their cult-like following to their fans. If it's a WWE product, it doesn't have to be on TV. People will watch it. Because if you're going to a house show and you don't know that these things aren't televised, that it's a smaller production, it's basically an indie show with better lighting. and better sound, then cool. But it's still the event. And so my thing is, I love baseball. I don't care when I get to see baseball, but if there's a live game on, I'm going to peek at it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What I really hope that they did was televise these house shows on the WWE network, just as an opportunity to have more programming. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that you have to keep them, but I'm just saying that, hey, this thing is live. And it doesn't have to be anything. It could be the house show. It can just be the house show.
Mm-hmm.
But just have a live camera, limited production value, and just air it live on WWE Network. Now, granted, the network doesn't exist anymore. And the house shows are, what they are for everything that you said that they are. That's why they serve their purpose. I still say that we don't need as many house shows as far as every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is when WWE run shows. I have the WWE schedule in front of me. Now, granted, it's a special time of year because Christmas is on a Monday this year, which means that they're not going to be, doing Raw. So the taping schedule is going to be a little bit weird next week and into the week after. But the holiday tour is in full effect.
Yes.
And this coming Saturday, Utica, New York.
Okay.
Raw's in Cleveland, SmackDown's in Green Bay. But then they hit Moline, Illinois, Rochester, Minnesota, and then Des Moines, Iowa, the Monday before Christmas for Raw.
Okay.
After that, the day after Christmas, Boxing Day, if you're one of them, Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden, Detroit, Laval, Quebec, Canada, which is just outside of Montreal, Houston, Toronto, Vegas, and then into Inglewood, California at the Forum. That's the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, I think they have 2 crews running that week.
They do. They do. I don't know. It doesn't say which tour is doing which brand is doing which.
Yeah. There's 2 shows each day.
But it's 2 shows each day for the week between Christmas and New Year's.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And that's all because they're not running Raw and SmackDown the week of Christmas. All I'm saying is that, yes, that's a special week. But if we don't do that, when they get into the new year, if you live in Spokane, Washington, you're going to get a show on Saturday, January 6th. If you live in Wintotche, Washington, you're going to get a show on January 7th.
Okay.
If you don't get that show in Spokane, you have to go 200 miles to Portland or 250 miles to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about the people that live in Spokane. It's about the people that live, in that area. Spokane is nowhere near anything. So people are coming 300 miles to Spokane because that's the closest they'll be within 500 miles of them. So it's not just, pitting these C and D level towns because there ain't a goddamn thing going on in Spokane. But for them to come twice a year is a big deal. And the way the country's laid out, there's obviously some things. If you really want to go, you can make it a trip or whatever. But for especially out west, where there are few and far in between, if anything, you need a house show. Yeah. Because Raw isn't coming to Kansas. I mean, and if they do come to Kansas, because I'm sure they do, but
they're coming once a year, and that's
exactly.
It. Yeah.
Or if you're in one of those unfortunate places where you live in what should be a B-class town, but that's sandwiched between 2 A-class cities. So if you live in Moline, Illinois, Chicago's 3 hours away, Des Moines, 3 hours away, they're not coming to Moline. It's very rare that they'll bring a TV show to a town like the Quad Cities. Be damned if Seth Rollins is from there. But they can run bigger cities for TV. So they need a house show. So it is a thing. I hope that the house show circuit gets more streamlined. But I also think that, if they have the network, just like I would pay a little bit more to watch baseball games during off season, if the MLB had a package with the Dominican League or the Winter Ball leagues, wherever they are being played right now, I would add that to my deal because that would tie me over until April or March when MLB starts up. If they had a deal with the Koreans, yes, I would watch it because it's more baseball. So they're running all of these shows. I don't think they have to run all of them. I think one of the statements that Shapiro said was that they run 300 dates a year, and 170 of them are on TV. That's a little bit more than half.
Yeah.
So half, so 40%, 45% of the shows aren't televised. That's a huge number. Does it have to be 45%? Could it be 30%? Could it be 25%? I don't know. But I do think that the house shows are very important for these smaller markets that are way too far away from anything. And when WWE comes to town, it's like the circus. The circus only comes around, well, when you were allowed to have a circus. But the circus will come around every April here. And it was a big deal to see them marching down 7th Street to the Verizon Center.
Right.
And they don't come. We need, so I think the smaller towns need that. It would be a shame. One of the things that was said was that the mandate that Vince McMahon had about product placements on the mat itself has been thrown out. How crazy do you think the sponsorships will go? And honestly, is that a thing that people will even notice? Because AEW already does it. I don't know what the DraftKings gave them.
Yeah, get those corners.
Yeah, but they're everywhere. Boxing has several different things on the field. We're already seeing product placement on the ice for hockey, and then for television, digitized over the ice for hockey.
Right. Right.
So
let's look at their sister company. That damn UFC Octagon has been plastered for years with every damn kind of brand thing on it. That there's barely a bare piece of canvas on the Octagon.
It's as bad as NASCAR. I mean, that's how crowded the rings are with the ring ropes and the everything like that too. So, but it's just interesting that a lot of these old school things about the way the product should look are being thrown by the wayside because TKO is trying to recoup some of their funds.
Yes.
And they are looking to cut cost, increase advertising revenue, and they're looking to do that expeditiously.
Yeah, right away. They're not wasting time on this.
So if that's the case, why stop at the ring mat? Do you think we're going to get Brock Lesnar shorts with Jimmy John's? Would that be a thing?
Well, he already had he had sponsorship stuff written into his deal, so he had Jimmy John's on his shorts.
So it's not unprecedented to see Jimmy John's on Brock Lesnar shorts. Yeah. Because WWE does a lot with their own merch, which makes sense. But who says that Johnny Gargano couldn't come out with a Marvel branded thing that specifically says Marvel on it?
Yeah. Wolverine and Deadpool coming out next year. The timing's kind of perfect there. If you wanted to do a Wolverine cosplay again or something with Deadpool, it's like the timing is but works out for that.
But who says that somebody couldn't get a Nike deal or a New Balance deal where that's like a brand that they wear on them. Now,
I mean, there's some people who would fit perfectly, like the Street Profits or Bianca Belair. Like there's brands that you could easily pair these people up with where it'd be a perfect fit.
Right.
Where you could totally do stuff.
But then some of them are a little bit less practical, like Randy Orton, who just wears tights.
Yeah.
I don't know where the brand goes.
Right. Right.
But that could be a thing. Like what, how creative will Endeavor and TKO get?
Yeah, because they're already putting stuff on the boards around the ring.
Sure.
We've definitely had stuff on the ring post works.
We've had a Mountain Dew match.
Yeah. Exactly. We had the Cinnamon Toast Crunch thing. I mean, they've already set the precedent that, this match brought to you by X, this company and whatever. I think this past WrestleMania, pretty much every match was presented corporately by something. Where it was like there was so that way they could say, replay here brought to you by, Progressive or whatever. Hell, I mean, Progressive sponsors SmackDown as it is. So they're already headed in that direction. Now I think it's just a matter of how much further can they ramp it up? They put stuff. The mat is weird to me because it's like with everything in high def now, I could see them putting stuff on the mat, but I would almost think if I'm WWE, if I'm TKO here, I think the move would be you charge a premium if you want that canvas on the ring, and you give it to one person on a premium, and they get it. You know, that's the thing. They run so many shows, you could switch it out every darn one. Be like, hey, this pay-per-view, you got it. Boom. Oh, you want it for WrestleMania? Night one? Night one's this much. Night two's this much. You know, you all that stuff. I figure it's all interchangeable. It's hell, they have 5-6 damn canvases on the ring anyway. Right. You know, when they got to clean it up. So I mean, they peel those off like it's paper. Hell, they could. I didn't even just think about that now. How easy it is to change a canvas the way they have.
Well, it's not even the canvas though. Yeah. Because you know what they do for basketball, for example, where they have the or for TV, they have the ad overlaid on the court.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like physically inserting ads into digitally onto the court. Yeah. Or in hockey, they're doing it on the end boards. In baseball, they're putting ads on the pitcher's mound for TV. So who's to say that somebody that they can't just interchange the ads digitally? And
maybe they do just leave it all blank in person with the idea that, hey, it's a blank canvas that we can just put it on the TV part. Yeah,
exactly. So for TV, they can easily just superimpose an ad on TV for the canvas, and then of course rotate them as they do throughout a basketball game or hockey game. Lord knows, Raw is long enough. I'm sure they can get a couple of different sponsors.
Hour 1 sponsor, hour 2 sponsor, hour 3 sponsor. I mean, it's right there. Yeah. It's right there, easy as pie to do. Just a matter of getting people signed up to do it and how much you can squeeze out of them for that prime location. So
yeah, and that will be, and it would be interesting to see what they try with NXT first. And I say that because a lot of baseball, for example, a lot of the rule changes and stuff like that they try are happening in the minor leagues first,
right? Then
they bring them up to the major league level with some additions. I wonder if they try any of these, money making, schemes in NXT, where maybe we see Braun Breaker come out with a singlet that has an embroidered logo on it, or maybe we see these superimposed ads on it. They're already using that goofy, really poorly done AR thing before they come to the ring. Why isn't that a sponsored ad instead of the Roman Reigns pose or Bianca Belair's hair whipping around in 3D?
Yeah, they're AR graphics. Yeah.
So, so the technology is obviously there for them to do it. It's just a matter of implementation. Yeah. And if they're looking at these things, we've seen it happen in really every other conceivable way. So why wouldn't they do it?
Yeah, no, it's inevitable. At this point, it's inevitable that it's coming. It's just a matter of how soon and how quickly they ramp it up. I would think they'd try to do like a deal where it's like, they started up with a match here and a match there. Then once they get all the kinks worked out, then they'll start doing it more and more and more and more. And we'll go from there. I mean, I would think by the time we get to WrestleMania in April, they're going to have a lot of this figured out, because that's where I think they're really... We'll see. I think we'll see a lot of it there, because I'm thinking back to this past year's WrestleMania, and I think almost every match had like a different corporate sponsor. And I remember TurboTax had something on it because it was that time of year, since it's April. It was like, I think the Rey Mysterio and Dominic match had a TurboTax tie-in or something.
Remember, it was either WrestleMania at the Performance Center or it was WrestleMania in Tampa.
Okay.
They had taken the top deck of Raymond James Stadium, and I want to say it was definitely Tampa.
Okay.
And they had superimposed a graphic on top of that.
That's right, they did. The whole
the whole top level,
because that was the first show back from COVID. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and they just used the bottom.
That's what it was, because they couldn't get the crowd that they wanted. Yeah. Because of the the seating restrictions. So they superimposed the entire top deck with something. If they can do that then, intentionally, unintentionally, as a necessity, then what are they willing to do when people are willing to pay them for it?
Exactly. It's coming, folks. So get used to it. It's going to be the new aesthetic. It is what it is.
And we're harping on this because it actually is a big deal. If the way you used to watch WWE will slowly change over the next several years, especially as the new TV deals are assigned.
Yeah. No doubt. We made it to our hour. going into this. We weren't sure how this was going to work out tonight, but we did this easy.
Yep.
Easy as pie. Easy as pie. All right. Any last thing you want to throw in before we
wrap
this up?
Real quick, the Von Erichs are in Dallas for AEW. The movie comes out the 22nd. Watch this space for that full review that's going to come out sooner than later.
Yes, indeed. We have seen the movie and we will be able to talk about it soon. So Iron Claw coverage coming very soon here on Big Gold Belt. You'll be able to find that at biggoldbelt.com. And of course, at all social media at Big Gold Belt. That's where all our stuff is each and every week when we stream here Thursday nights, 8 p.m. So yes, a big week next week with the Von Erichs coming to Texas, and the embargo might be lifted next week because the movie comes, or maybe it's the week after.
22nd. The movie comes out the 22nd. But when the embargo is lifted for actual review, we will get that out to you when that happens.
There it goes. It's coming soon, folks. Iron Claw coverage with your friends here at the Big Gold Belt. So thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. It has been a time. We will be back here next Thursday, 8 p.m. to talk everything that's going on in wrestling. Until then, stay safe, stay warm since it's cold out there, and we will talk to you later.